Hi, yes, I know this is super leaving my target audience, but I need to geek out, okay? Okay. If for some reason this is the first time someone comes across my channel, hi, I'm Polly, I'm a 2D animator and storyteller, and I mostly talk about warrior cats in this channel. But I'm obsessed with Genshin lore since the game came out, and I've had an epiphany and I need to talk about it, so here we are. In this video, I'm going to be talking about version 4.2 Masquerade of the Guilty, along with my thoughts and mini theories. But most importantly, how Natlan may be the key to understanding the truth of the game. At least most of it. Be aware this has spoilers up to Genshin 4.2. I will not be talking about Fontaine's world quest, so just the Archon quests. I am not touching the Narcissus and Crow world quests. I know they have a lot of lore that can be tied back to this, but I'm not strong enough, okay? I can't. I'm also going to be talking a lot about biblical references and Aztec cosmology. This is purely for storytelling and inspiration purposes. I am not an expert, so if I say something that is not accurate, please feel free to correct me. For starters, I'll give a hyper summary of the main plot, not only if I have non-Genshin players watching this video, but also for myself because I need to get my brain sorted out. If you want to skip this and just go straight to my thoughts and Natlan's theory, I'm gonna have some timestamps, you know what to do. The world of Genshin, Teyvat, was originally ruled by 7 elemental dragon kings. The first descender, also known as the Primordial One or the Heavenly Principles, came to the world, created 4 shades of himself, and banished these 7 Dragon Kings. Among these shades, the confirmed ones are the God of Time, Ishtaroth, and the God of Life, who at this point is unnamed. Later, the second who came fought the Heavenly Principles, but is unknown who came out as victorious. The Heavenly Principles grant 7 thrones for 7 gods who can control the elements, seemingly to replace these 7 Dragon Kings. The Heavenly Principles sentence an atheist nation called Canria to death. At the very beginning of the game, twin stars Lumine and Ether fall into Teyvat, witness this mass murder, and try to escape. An unknown god stops them, kidnaps one of the siblings. For this story's sake, we'll say Ether was the one who kidnapped Lumine. You're welcome, Lumine mains. Lumine, along with her friend Paimon, send on this journey to travel the world's 7 nations and meet their respective 7 gods. The 7 gods or archons are Barbados/Venti, god of wind or Anemo, Morax or Shangli, god of earth or Gia, Beelzebul or Raiden A, god of lightning or Electro, Boer or Nahida, god of the forest or Dendro, Fossilors or Furina, god of water or Hydro, the at this point of name probably will be named Murata, god of fire or Pyro, and the Tsaritsa, god of ice or Cryo. Out of the 7, only Shangli and Venti remain from the original 7. The other 5 are successors. It is worth to mention each Archon has a name from a demon from the Ars Goetia, making them literally demon gods to some extent. Each Archon has a chess piece called a Gnosis given to them by the Heavenly Principles, and it possesses the stolen power of the dragons alongside something else. The Tsaritsa wants to fuck up the Heavenly Principles by gathering and using all of the Gnosis. And the sky is fake. The sky is a hoax, probably created by the Heavenly Principles to have full control over Teyvat. I won't get into specifics on how the sky is fake or how it could work. I'm just gonna link some better resources and theories for that in the description. I can't. Fontaine is the 5th region, the nation of Hydro we just finished exploring. And our next stop is Natlan, the land of Pyro. Though we won't go there until probably summer of 2024, I think. Don't take my word for it. Also, each nation is inspired by a real-life nation or culture, which is relevant for the points I will be making in Natlan. In version 4.2, Masquerade of the Guilty, according to legend, the Hydro Archon before Fossilors, Igeria, committed a original sin that was punished by the Heavenly Principles in the form of a flood that will dissolve the people of Fontaine. The biblical references are super obvious, and trust me, it's just gonna get worse from here. To avoid people from dying, but also allowing the flood to happen and make the Heavenly Principles believe the prophecy had come to pass, Fossilor had to separate her divinity and her body into different beings. Focalor and Furina. Furina played the part of the god that the heavenly principles observed, while the divinity worked on accumulating powers strong enough to kill Focalors, destroy the throne of Hydro, and give the control over water back to the Dragon King of Water, Neuvillette. Furina is free from the character she's been forced to play for 500 years and is now a normal human. To fully eliminate the threat of Fontaine, Lumine comes face to face with the all-devouring Narwhal, a creature that comes from beyond the false sky just like Lumine. And if you squint, you can see how it shows us a view from beyond the false sky, which is just... okay, sure. Skirk, a woman who's lived in the abyss, has an ungodly amount of power, claiming this whale is just a pet. She also mentions her master and two other very important people, but they are irrelevant to this conversation, mostly because I'm just not strong enough to form theories about them. However, these people, especially Skirk's master, have to be incredibly strong. To be the master of a woman that can easily condense a gigantic starry whale into a small pocket boy with one hand, it means you have to be horribly powerful, and the implications of this terrify me. We too have a goddamn arc built by Risley, and I don't know how obvious the biblical references can get in Fontaine. It's insane. The huge takeaway from this Archon quest is that Focalors straight up destroys her throne. There's no more 7. There will never be 7 gods ever again. She entirely fucked up the god hierarchy established by the heavenly principle. The Tsaritsa wishes she could be Focalors. She's insane, she's crazy. Let women have hobbies, I guess. When Fontaine's arc started and Neuvillette was introduced as a Dragon King, it was obvious he was going to get his powers back, even though Neuvillette himself was hesitant to admit that because it would have required the death of Focalors. Whether he wanted it or not, he has the power back now, and he's the first Dragon King to regain full control over his land since the heavenly principles banished the dragons all the way back to the beginning of history. Focalor from the Ars Goetia, while being a great Duke of Hell, also hoped to return to heaven after thousands of years, but he was deceived. And this pretty much summarizes what happens with Furina. She hoped to return to heaven or that the heavens had mercy on their sin, but it was never granted. Now it all falls to Neuvillette, who is now the ultimate judge of the world and must deliver justice against the primordial one. This is Neuvillette's purpose, and the other Dragon Kings who remain hidden may rally alongside him to deliver this judgment. And Focalor had to massively trust Neuvillette. Her plan was to give Neuvillette's power back to him and hope he would make the right call and forgive the sins of the people. If he hadn't, then the Great Flood would have come to pass and kill everyone. With the release of Masquerade of the Guilty, we finally get to read Neuvillette's character stories and, well... The heavenly principles were the ones who committed the original sin. This much we were told. The Dragon King of Water is, in a sense, the original god of life, but the primordial one created another god of life who dethroned this Dragon King, and she committed the original sin, creating humanity. This new god of life was also responsible for essentially birthing Egeria, who would then commit the same sin of creating a new race of humans, hence why she was to be punished by the Great Flood. So far, we have 2 out of the 4 shades confirmed, Ishtaroth and the god of life. It's also very likely that the unknown god who kidnapped Ether at the start of the game is also a shade, meaning we are missing 1 more shade. I sort of have my money that Skirk is the last shade, but she separated herself from the heavenly principles to hang out in the abyss, as she explicitly says she wishes not to return. At first I started believing this because her eyes looked very familiar to the unknown gods, but after we see her powers in game, they are very similar to those of the unknown god. Neuvillette is shocked at her power and he is one of the Dragon Kings. Skirk is scary. I know Paimon is likely another shade or something of the sort, and there's theories that Paimon is Ishtaroth. I do not believe this solely because they have different Goetic names. Maybe Paimon is a fragment of Ishtaroth, but I'm not sure at this point. I don't know anything of what's going on here. Paimon could also be the god of life, but I don't know if I really believe this either. Neuvillette would have definitely recognized her, given how much he personally hates this shade. I just believe Skirk may be the god of boys, since that's likely the shade we are missing. though the unknown god also has basis to be a god of void. Skur mentions to Nubilet something very important at the end of 4.2. The gnosis, the chess pieces that give the archons their titles, are remains of the third descender. The primordial one is the first descender from beyond the false sky, and Lumine is the fourth descender. Ether is not counted as a descender, who knows why. The gnosis, being the remains of a descender, is confusing enough. But if you go back to Nubilet's character stories, it is explicitly mentioned that the primordial one and the second who came created the gnosis together. And I only have 3 conclusions with this information. 1. The primordial one and the second who came somehow gave birth to the third descender. 2. The primordial one and the second who came killed the third descender. 3. Both. Now, with this information on the gnosis, the fact that the Tsaritsa is collecting all of them becomes way more interesting and disturbing. She's collecting the remains of a dead being, and she's seemingly working to put them together to defy the heavenly principles. Does this mean she plans to revive the third descender? Why? Does she believe they will take them beyond the false sky? I am so confused and disturbed, and I have no idea what to make of this. Oh, and Farina is the first person to ever gain a vision from a Dragon King, aka Nubilet. And I think that's cute considering their bond. You can also see little fangs around it, I think it's cute. Okay, now to the bit that's driving me insane. If you go to the Tower of Ipsissimus in Fontaine, you will find this one little note on the ground, and when you read it, you come across this text. I won't read all of it, but what I can get is: the Narcissan Cross Ordo believes that people continuously refine themselves through samsara cycle. These include Hyperborea, Natlan, Remuria, and the first half of the fourth samsara, Crown Arya, which we are presently experiencing. The human spirit undergoes the loss of paradise, the defeat of the evil dragons, the original sin and baptism, and finally, freedom from the gods. And it was just, what the fuck? Since Sumeru introduced the concept of samsaras, aka time loops that repeat the same day over and over without the common folk realizing it, a lot of people started theorizing that Tevat might be undergoing a similar phenomena, just on a much larger scale. The history of the world runs in an endless time loop. This is supported by Rukdevata when she tells Nahida, "You are the new me in this new samsara." When this theory started waltzing around, I consciously avoided it because, again, I have a small peanut brain, and while I love all kinds of lore with my whole heart, there's so much lore my brain can handle, and I am reaching that limit. However, this is new clear evidence that, yes, the world is indeed going through samsaras, and is in fact going through the fourth. I don't think it's something I can keep ignoring anymore. Narratively speaking, that is. Taking in mind how the cycles are named, we can pinpoint this very clearly. Hyperborea, Mondstadt, Remuria, Fontaine, Natlan, and Crown Arya, Canria. At first, I didn't know what to do with this information besides, well, yeah, time is repeating over and over. Guess I'll die. However, when I was talking to a friend, he brought up a very important point. I've been very excited for Natlan's release since I first realized it was going to be inspired by pre-Columbian America. This is because I'm Mexican. I am very Mexican, and I want to see how they pull this off. I'm very excited and terrified because Hoyoverse could also do horribly with this as well. We all know what happened with Sumeru. But with the coming of Natlan, my friend and I started digging into Mexica mythology. I first brought up that since Natlan has been confirmed to be a nation of dragons, there's a huge chance that Quetzalcoatl, or a Quetzalcoatl adjacent character, will appear in Genshin. Quetzalcoatl is probably the most known deity in Mexico, the god of life, sun, fertility, and knowledge. And he's known as La Serpiente Emplumada, or the feathered snake, and he's depicted as a feathered dragon. Honestly, if they don't put him in Natlan, I'm considering it a huge lost opportunity. He's right there. Anyway, I bring this up because, well, my friend and I were researching and investigating if these previously mentioned samsaras have something to do with Natlan's lore. He remembers Aztec cosmology and mentions the 5 suns. It's an Aztec legend that the world comes into being perishes, and then comes into being again. Each time the world dies and is reborn, and a new cycle begins. Under this legend, we, live people from Earth, are currently experiencing the fifth sun. I'm going to give a very brief explanation of this story to the best of my abilities, and keep in mind that I might mispronounce some of these names. I do know the basic syntax for them, but it's been a long while since I had to say this out loud, so bear with me a second. Ometeotl, the god of duality and the one who created himself, birthed two gods, Tonacatecutli and Tonacasihuatl, who then birthed gods, Xipetotec, Tezcatlipoca, Huitzilopochtli, and Quetzalcoatl. Xipetotec, the firstborn, the east and the skin lord, god of death and resurrection. Tezcatlipoca, the secondborn, the north, the omnipresent god, lord of all. Huitzilopochtli, the lastborn, is the hummingbird of the south and a sun deity. And Quetzalcoatl is the third sun, the west, and the god of wind and wisdom. These four brothers created the world. Except there was one problem: there was no sun. Hence, the cycle of the five suns began. The first sun was called Nahui Ocelot, the earth sun, created by Tezcatlipoca, who carried the sun while he journeyed through the heavens. The first sun faced disaster when Quetzalcoatl became jealous and made his brother fall to the earth to become a jaguar. The first sun concluded and the world was black again. The second sun, Nahui Ehecalt, the wind sun, was created by Quetzalcoatl, who carried the sun while he fought creatures of darkness who journeyed the earth. It is said the sons of the second sun were Hyperboreans. This time, Tezcatlipoca was the one who became jealous and banished Quetzalcoatl. While he fell into the earth, he caused a gale that tore apart everything. The third sun, Nahuiquehuitl, the world of fire. The gods became angry at the quarreling brothers and put Tlaloc, the rain god, on the throne. With his water, he gave life to the earth once again. However, Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca conspired and Sayutecutli, the god of fire, emerged and consumed the earth. Only the sons of the third sun lived when they became birds. The fourth sun, Nahuiat, the son of water. The gods remade the earth following Huitzilopochtli instructions. Quetzalcoatl rose to the world with the help of Tlaloc's counterpart, Chalchihuitlicue, goddess of lake and water who became one with the sun. Tezcatlipoca was not convinced and corrupted Chalchihuitlicue. The world was consumed by a great flood that lasted for years. And finally, the fifth sun, the one we are currently living in, Nahui-Olin, the sun of movement. This sun is the union of the past sun and the fifth cardinal direction. Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca regretted the damage they had made and came to the conclusion that a new sun wouldn't come to being if a god weren't to die. The gods Tecutizcatl and Nanahuatzin offered their bodies to give life to the earth, and from then, the fifth sun was born, Tonatiuh. Saying this feels so weird because I'm going to relate it back to Genshin. Is this how people felt when the other regions were released? This is weird. It's weird, but okay. It's safe to say these five suns could represent the fourth stages the Vat is going through, considering Natlan is going to be the new nation we'll be visiting. Especially considering the sons of the second sun were Hyperborean, and the first Samsara of the Vat is Hyperborea. While in what could be the fourth cycle in Teyvat and the fourth sun in Aztec cosmology, the heavens brought a great flood that ended humanity. And that's literally what just happened in Fontaine. Just this time, humanity was granted forgiveness and was allowed to live. However, this forgiveness was granted by the Dragon King of Water and not the heavens. The heavens explicitly wanted the people to dissolve into the waters and still believe that was what happened. The fifth sun, Nahui-Olin, is when things get super interesting because the symbol of Nahui-Olin is a feather snake that is eating its own tail, perfectly mirroring Ouroboros, the Greek symbol of a snake or a dragon eating its own tail, symbolizing the cycle of eternity and the belief that all is one. I don't think I need to remind everyone that the constellation of Dainsleif, the twilight sword of Canria, is Ouroboros. So, to my little brain understanding, if we use the cosmology of the five suns and the Samsaras Teyvat is undergoing and we shuffle things around, I can see something like this. First Samsara, Hyperborea. equals the second sun, Naui-Ocelot, where the people were Hyperboreans. Second Samsara, Natlan, the third sun, Naui-Cucatl, where the god of fire set the earth to burn. Third Samsara, Remurian, the fourth sun, Naui-Atl, where the gods call a flood upon the world. And finally, the fourth Samsara, Kaun Arya, Naui-Olin, the current cycle, Ouroboros. With this lineup, we are missing the first sun, but what sun could this be? I have no idea. It could possibly be the war of the Primordial One against the 7 Dragon Kings, but I don't have enough evidence of any of that. So I leave this to actual lore content creators out there. If no one got me, I know lore content creators got me. I say this all to say, Natlan is probably very intertwined with the Samsaras of the Vat. They know this. Also, it just occurred to me that Natlan is made by 5 different tribes, so that could also mirror the 5 suns, but that remains to be seen, I guess. Oh, and my brother brought up that Capitano could very well be Hernan Cortés in this context, and I think that's very funny. It is also worth mentioning that the last act of Natlan's story is confirmed to be called Incandescent Oath of Resurrection. This could mean many things. It could make a reference to the Tsaritsa reviving the third descender, Natlan reviving the Dragon King of Fire, or even, and this is a huge stretch, the Pyro Archon starting a new sun, a new Samsara for Natlan. And like all things in life, it all goes back to Venti. Since the game's release, everyone was put off by Venti's Good Morning line, which implies we've met Venti before, but we don't remember. But Venti does remember us and willingly introduces himself once more and joins our journey, knowing it's just a repeat of the world. It's been pretty clear that Venti is some sort of son or fragment to the god of time and shade of the primordial one, Istaroth. Because Istaroth is the 1,000 winds of time. Venti is a wisp from the 1,000 winds. Venti was born from the branches of time, and there's just a lot of evidence pointing to this. And I can't help but wonder, is Istaroth the one putting us through these samsara cycles? And if she is, then why? The note mentions each cycle ends with the freedom from the gods. Is Istaroth helping Teyvat to break free from the heavenly principles? I'm so confused, and I don't know what to do with this, so again, I'm leaving it to actual lore content creators. The only questions after Masquerade of the Guilty that I cannot answer or try to answer is, who the fuck are Nicole and Rhindaughter? What are they? Who are the Hexen Circle even like? I have no clue, and I'm terrified and exhausted. Each patch, Genshin introduces more powerful and omnipresent deities or entities, and my brain is tired. There's so much I can do with this, and I'm ready to collapse. So, to recap, Teyvat has gone through 3 samsaras and is currently going through a 4th one related to Khaenri'ah. Natlan is inspired by pre-Columbian America. As such, it is safe to assume these samsaras mirror the 5 suns mentioned in Aztec cosmology, instigated by the god brothers Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca. Natlan is confirmed to be a nation of dragons, and in Mexican mythology, Quetzalcoatl takes the form of a feather snake or dragon. The Tsaritsa seemingly wants to revive the third descender, and Natlan is linked to resurrection. Could imply the Pyro Archon knows a thing or two about this. And Istaroth could be responsible for the Samsaras, trying to break the world free from the gaze of the gods. Yeah, that sums up what I have inside my brain. Will they make sense? I have no idea, but I can't keep them inside anymore, and there's so much happening, and I'm so looking forward to Natlan. This could go amazing or horribly wrong. It is worth mentioning there's people who believe Natlan will be inspired by the fall of Tenochtitlan. And that could very well happen too, even more so considering Capitano could be Hernan Cortés in the story. But I am choosing to not go down this rabbit hole, at least not for the time being. I also have no good segue to close this video, so those are my thoughts. I don't know if making Genshin videos is going to be a regular occurrence here, but I just really wanted to talk about it in particular because it touched so many nerves and my brain was itching. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm working on a Farina animatic. You can watch the process over Patreon for $5 per month. It's gonna take me a while to finish it, but Farina deserves some love, man. She went through hell back. Let her sleep. Okay, now for real, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this didn't mess up with your head too much, okay? Take care. Love ya.